Spiderman. It just sounded dramatic.
Cut to 1962 and the world was introduced to your friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man. But how is it that this awkward nerdy teen rivals seemingly perfect intergalactic beings and tech billionaires for the title of most loved superhero? Well, first let's start off with the basics. Who even is Spider-Man? Peter Parker, a brainiac orphan residing in New York who at the age of 15 got bitten by a radioactive spider. You should know the rest. Now, this all may lead you to believe that Spider-Man is so loved because of his really cool powers, which would be a fair judgment. I mean, superhuman strength could definitely help me out with one or two things, and who hasn't wanted to swing through the city like this? But no. Remember 20 seconds ago when I called him awkward and nerdy? Or 5 seconds ago when I described him as a brainiac orphan? Yeah, people love Spider-Man because of Peter Parker. When Stan Lee, the ex-primary creative leader of Marvel Comics and the creator of Spider-Man, spoke about the hero's creation, he said he wanted to do something different than what was out at the time. Characters like Superman were godlike, and there was a clear difference between the heroes and the citizens they were protecting, which, while that has its own appeal, makes them less relatable. Part 1 of the tremendous love of Spider-Man is that he could be anyone. I mean, who are you going to relate more to? The space alien with no imperfections, or the college student who is late for rent? I mean, I am obviously perfect, so I relate more to the former, but for the general population, Peter Parker. He is a human character. Someone that faces realistic day-to-day problems that aren't just magically solved because he can now stick to walls. It makes his character more realistic and allows more people to easily imagine themselves in his shoes. Like he literally got his powers by accident. Not from some noble cause or lifelong mission, he got bitten accidentally, reinforcing the idea that anyone can become a hero. And throughout all this, he also stayed a normal teenager, juggling his academic life, work life, social life, and crime-fighting life, with him almost always having to sacrifice one of them for another. That is relatable. I mean, you might not be kicking Doc Ock's butt, but you may have lost a job because you were late, or had to put on a brave face while dealing with the death of a loved one, or had to practice self-restraint while being picked on and pushed around by some Neanderthal at school. These are real human struggles that hadn't really been explored in comics until Spider-Man. While Stan Lee was writing Spider-Man, most of the superheroes before were just bored billionaires who decided to become vigilantes. But other than his extreme relatableness, there is a second part as to why Spider-Man is such a great superhero. And that is because even though he has to deal with deaths, or losing his home, or even having to make underwear out of webbing, then not being able to get it off when he has to pee, he will always do what's right. Such as clicking subscribe to a really cool new YouTube channel you just discovered. Yes, despite all the horrible things that happen to Peter Parker, he has altruistic qualities, meaning that despite all of these negative things in his life, which mostly come from being Spider-Man, he still chooses to be a hero. Many people refer to Spider-Man as Peter Parker's curse. All of his problems aren't magically solved because of his powers, but rather his powers, or more so the burden of being a superhero, make his real life a mess. He loses his job because he was late, because he was out saving the city. He loses the girl because he came across as distant, because he was busy saving the city. He got evicted because he has no money, because you guessed it, he was busy saving the city. Spider-Man as a person is someone everyone can aspire to be. He does things not because he has to, but because he can. Out of every single superhero, he is the embodiment of heroism and self-sacrifice. Once again, his morals make him relatable and a reasonable character to strive to be. He understands what it feels like to be responsible for things while other parts of your life are falling apart. Peter learnt the hard way very early that being selfish doesn't get you anywhere. And because of this, he's never looked back. Spider-Man is such a great hero because unlike Superman, who can save the galaxy without breaking a sweat, or Iron Man, who's a billionaire, Spider-Man has major struggles. Nothing ever goes his way, and he looks like this after fights. even though he's literally pulling his punches so that he doesn't kill anyone. Peter Parker chooses to be good because, in his own words,
you can do the things that I can, but you don't. And then the bad things happen. They happen because of you.
That's why Spider-Man is so loved. Well, I mean, it sounds a bit serious when I say people love him because everything in his real life goes horribly wrong and he still chooses to sacrifice everything to do the right things. So I'll throw in one more reason for good luck. Yeah, bonus points, he's also hilarious. Despite all the serious stuff, he doesn't lose his spark or personality. He makes jokes while fighting, wins fights using his knowledge of pop culture, and says some way too relatable things. So pretty much, Spider-Man rocks. The combination of Peter Parker's relatable struggles, his flaws and vulnerabilities, and his journey to reconcile his dual identities, sprinkled with some of the best superhero humour of all time, contribute to making Spider-Man a character that people can connect with on a deeper level. His story highlights the potential for heroism within each of us, and that resonates with audiences. Comment below your favourite superhero or villain. Hey, I'm not judging.